Diane, and this is How to Train Your Caterpillar, a spiritual life coaching channel. You're very welcome here. Thank you for checking out the video and the channel. I appreciate it a lot. And you know, if you like the content and you feel like liking and subscribing for me, I'd appreciate that a lot too. This is kind of a follow-up to a daily reading that I did today, because there was a message that came out that a lot of people might be about to discover or to rediscover their mediumship gifts. Okay, so this is a video specifically for you if you find that that's been happening to you recently or it happens to you in the future. So I'm not sure what the title is going to be. I guess like for people who have just discovered that they're a medium. Okay, so if you are a medium, it means that you are very sensitive to energies. Okay, so you're very likely to start encountering souls who have crossed over, and the reason that you're able to do that is because like your third eye is open, the blockages have been removed, you're not doubting yourself anymore, and you're becoming much more susceptible to higher vibrational energies. Okay, because these beings are usually around us all the time, like these passed over souls, they're usually around all the time, but obviously we usually can just see the 3D, right? But you know this to be true because, you know, how many times have you seen like a cat or a dog freak out and stare at a corner of the room and you're like, what are you looking at? Like, you are freaking me out. What are you looking at? They're looking at something that we can't see, right? They're looking at like a crossover, well, I should say a soul that's left its vessel is what I should say. They're looking at a soul that's left its vessel, or they're looking at something that we can't see, something that is higher vibrational than us. Because these things are usually all around us, it's just that the higher dimensions, they vibrate faster. There. Faster, so we can't usually see it, right? But when you're more tuned in to energies, you're going to be able to probably see, you know, crossed over souls, or I should say souls that have come out of their body, and also crossed over souls, okay, and other energies that may be around. The first thing that I wanted to say is I have never encountered an energy that wasn't of the light. Like I've been kind of dabbling in spirituality since you know, or like very, I don't know if you would say spirituality, but certainly yeah, I mean, my mum was, you know, kind of always into this stuff, so I've kind of been around it since I was like maybe 14, 15, so I've been interested and kind of dabbled in it for a long time, and I have never once encountered a negative energy, and I have never really taken steps to protect myself except within the last few years, and I've never had a negative energy attach itself to me. I've never encountered one, anything like that. So, you know, I know there's like a lot of stigma that can be attached to this, you know, with like horror movies and stuff, and I'm not saying that you should go home and get the Ouija board out. I don't think you should do that, but I'm saying that you don't have to worry, okay, about negative energies attaching themselves to you or encountering negative energies, okay? Because this is very important. You always have your spirit guide, okay? So if you are, you know, if you feel like this is you, that you're about to unlock mediumship gifts or rediscover them, this would be an excellent time to really establish a connection with your spirit guide, okay? Because your spirit guide, whether you know their name or not, they have been around you since you were a baby, following you around, just waiting for you to be like, acknowledge them or to involve them in your life, okay? That's what they're there for. They're there to protect you, okay? So if you ever do encounter a being or, you know, an energy that is maybe overwhelming for you, you know, you can ask your spirit guide to step in and just be like, look, you need to ask this person to pull their energy back, it's too much for me. Or, you know, if they're putting a certain, because sometimes they do that, they'll put a certain experience on you that maybe they've gone through, you know, and you can say to your spirit guide, like, take that off, I don't want that, okay? And that's what your spirit guide will do. So this would be a good time for you to establish a connection with your spirit guide. I highly recommend, if you're interested, a certain book I'll put it here. It's by a guy called Gordon Smith, and it's called An Introduction to Mediumship or something. Mediumship Made Easy, because this is a little Scottish medium. I believe, from what I remember from the book, he was always a medium, but he kind of ignored it for a while and he had to learn to develop it, okay? So it's like a really accessible, easy to read book. And one of the things that he does in it is he tells you how to get in touch with your spirit guide, which is through meditation. I've said this in videos before, but you'll usually find that you'll usually find that your spirit guide will either be on your left or your right side. My spirit guide is called, I call him Chris. He lives on my right side. And what Gordon Smith says in the book is that you can, first of all, you can start by asking their name, okay? Might take a while for it to come through, but don't give up. Keep going, keep going with establishing this connection, and eventually it will come through. Or it might come through very fast for you, okay? But one of the things that he talks about is a calling card, like asking your guide to make you aware of their presence by leaving a calling card. So the calling card that Gordon Smith's guide uses is he has a beard. The guide, he has a beard, so he puts a beard on Gordon Smith's face, so he can actually feel a beard appearing on his face when his guide wants to tell him something or make his presence known. My guide, yep, he's doing it right now. It's always on my right side, and it's like a cold hand. So sometimes it'll be like a cold hand on my shoulder or my arm or my leg or my lower leg, sometimes multiple places. I have asked him, like, I live in Scotland, can't you just make it warm? But he doesn't listen to me about that. So that's how I know. And sometimes when I'm very stressed out or sad, or he has a specific message for me, he will put a hand on my shoulder or my arm or whatever, and that's how I know he's there. Sometimes other beings, they always seem to make me cold for some reason. I don't know why, because I'm like perpetually freezing anyway, but sometimes as well, I'll be sitting down and I'll feel a presence around about my knees, and it's not a draft, I'm not crazy, so it'll be like when it's kind of warm, even, I'll feel this kind of energy on my knees, okay? So, if you're nervous about encountering negative energies or anything like that, or the situation getting out of your control, which it never will, by the way, because it never has for me, that's your guide's job. So I would, if ever you feel overwhelmed, that's what your guide is there for, okay? So you're probably gonna see them, okay? But like these crossover spirits, or these spirits that have left their body, because sometimes is the thing, you may find that these people come to you for help, okay? And it might freak you out a little bit because maybe you're not expecting it, sometimes they'll come through in meditation and you'll know them, it'll be like, your family members or someone that that's passed over, and you'll be like, oh, I remember you, and it's not freaky at all, and you're like, hey, and they'll chat to you, or they'll give you a message or something. Or, for example, when I used to read the tarot, sometimes like somebody else's crossover loved one would come through just to make themselves known, and maybe they have like a certain thing, like they always wear a scarf or something like that. So if you say to the person who's getting the reading, like, oh, there's this person here, they have a scarf on, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's my gran, like she always used to wear a scarf. So it's like a message of comfort from spirit that person needed to hear at the time, so they may come through to you, like I said, when it's deliberate, when you're kind of in state, but they might also just come through to you when you're not expecting it, okay? Because some of them need help crossing over, and that's actually something that happened to me. I wanted to share this story with you because when it first starts happening, you may feel a little crazy, right? You may feel like you've imagined it, and you may not have anyone around to talk about it to, because I didn't have, like, I still don't have like a spiritual teacher or anything like that, though I have tried to find one. Hasn't worked out so far, so I've just You know, they do have that saying, like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So maybe I just haven't been ready up until this point, but, or maybe I'm supposed to just muddle through on my own, I don't know. But I just wanted to share the story with you to give you an example of how they can come through. Okay, sorry for being twitchy. I'm trying to sit still, but I have too much twitchy energy. So I used to live actually quite close by, like just up the road, like not long up the road, like 10 minutes, but it was up on a hill. You know, it was an old mining town, and I was working from home. This happened like, I guess 2 or 3 years ago now. And you know, there's a loch up there that you can kind of go for a walk around. It's really pretty, and like it's very grounding for your energy. So I used to do that a lot when I was up there. I miss it. I miss having that. I don't really have that around here, but anyway. So I went out for a walk, and I must have been like meditating a lot of the time, or something like that. Like I was very open, or I had meditating or something. And I was walking down the path towards the loch, and I saw this guy, but it was weird. It wasn't like, see, this will be the thing, you know, when you expect, when a medium says that they see someone, it's almost like you think that they see them, like it's a person walking around, but it's very clear that it's not. To me, it is anyway. You know, it's not like you're not crazy. You're like, you know, you're very aware. It's like a photo, is what I would say. Like you're very aware it's not a real person. Like you haven't lost your mind, but you're still seeing it very clearly. He appeared on the right side, and he was quite small, like about this size. And he was in black and white, and he was wearing like a really old-fashioned, not really old-fashioned, but quite an old-fashioned like waistcoat, but made of very rough material, and a shirt and a farmer's cap. And at first I was like, what is that? Because then he was gone. I was like, okay, must have imagined that. And then I walked a little further down the road, and he appeared on the left side, but he was like only like half his body, and he was huge. He was like floating in the sky kind of thing, like in front of me. And he was like, had his arms folded like that, and he had the grimmest, grumpiest, scariest expression on his face. And I was scared, because I was like, oh my god, like what is this guy doing? Like he doesn't want me to be around the loch. Like maybe it's an old landowner or something. Oh my god, like what do I do? But looking back on it, everybody around here is pretty grumpy, so that's kind of par for the course. You know, looking back on it, it's like, yeah, of course he would be grumpy. Everybody here is grumpy. But I carried on. I went for my walk, and then I don't know why, but I went for another walk, like a really long walk that day, and I saw him again, and he was like in the bushes kind of thing by the side of the road. He was tiny. He was like a little elf, but the full version of him. And I was like, what is going on? Because this was the first time it had ever happened to me. You know, I had seen, like I said, I'd seen people during tarot readings, or I'd seen like my granddad and things like this, but it had never been a stranger that had just appeared. So I went home, and he actually followed me home. He was in my house. I was like, what's going on? Have I just lost my mind? Because I was spending a lot of time by myself as well, so I was like, okay, so I finally snapped, like this is it, like I've gone insane. And I sat at the computer, and I looked up like deaths in the area, and there he was, clear as day. And I feel like that had been done to show me, like specifically by spirit, that I wasn't crazy. And I feel like I'm supposed to share this story with you, so that when this happens to you, you'll know that you're not crazy and it's real. Because part of the problem is believing that it's real, you know. There he was. Picture of him with his daughter, and I think his wife and his granddaughter, exactly the same. The same waistcoat, the flat cap, and that grim expression on his face. So it was a mining village, and it turned out in the 1940s during the war, there had been one bomb that had fallen on the place, and it had fallen on this man. You know, he had been in his cottage, because there was a couple of rows of cottages, because the loch was down by a colliery, I can never say that word, like a coal mine. So he'd been in his cottage having dinner, and the bomb had just dropped on the cottage and he had just died, just instantly. And when that happens, the soul kind of gets thrown out of the body, but it's traumatic. That's why you have a lot of these souls that remain. There's been some kind of trauma, like a murder or something shocking happened, and it's like they haven't quite caught up, you know. So this poor soul had been wandering around since like the 1940s waiting for someone that was open enough to see him. So as soon as he had seen me, because they see your energy, if you see what I mean. So I guess he had kind of latched on and been like, oh my god, what's going on? So I didn't have any experience of what to do, but I knew he was just looking for help, you know. So I just googled, like, it's just really basic, like I googled like how to help someone cross over, and I did it. And you know, I remember like a light kind of came, like I could see it, like it came to get him, and then he came back briefly and he kind of sat with me and he held my hand. I mean, he wasn't really holding my hand, but I saw it in my mind's eye. And then he left, and that was it. I never saw him again. And nothing like that has happened to me since. But it's just something, it might surprise you, and it might even be quite emotional for you, because, you know, these beings, you know, these people have been, you know, they've been through a trauma, you know, and they're lost. Because the thing is as well, if he had known me back in the 40s, he probably would have called me a witch, you know? So it's like, it's new for them too. It's like they want your help, but at the same time, they maybe don't know what's going on, and they're maybe a little scared as well. But I just wanted to share that with you because, you know, in case you have something like that, where someone, you know, is looking for help, but it is, well, you know, if they're too much for you, that's when you need to ask your guide to step in, right? And be like, you need to take this person, you need to be like, move back, or you pull your energy back and have your guide speak to them, right? But they're not there to hurt you. They're usually looking for help, is what I would say. And you're kind of the only one that they know, okay? So I actually had something else I was going to say about being a channel in general, but I've just noticed this video is quite long, so I am going to leave this video here, and I'm going to make like a part 2 of this so that it can be in like little bits, okay? But yeah, that was the message, like for people that are just getting into mediumship, like just don't be scared, you know, just don't be scared. Because I know it can be kind of overwhelming, especially if you're dealing with it on your own. But honestly, most of the time, it's just lost souls looking for your help, you know? And your guide is there. That's what they're there for, to protect you, to intervene if you feel uncomfortable. And also you may find that you start seeing like flashing lights, or you know, things in your house start moving. Like I often get that, like you've seen it in the tarot videos, like the lights will start flashing, or they'll knock a few times in response to something you said, because it's probably your gran or something being like, yeah, like we agree, totally. You guys should be paying rent here. You know, or they might move things. Sometimes they move things. Like a few of my crystals have gone missing recently, and I'm pretty sure that's because I'm not, this is a weird flex, but I don't lose stuff. You know, I know some people flex by like, you know, like, oh, I have a big house, like I have a big car, and I'm like, I don't lose things, baby. Yeah, get in line, baby, with the rest of them. Yeah, so that's such a flex. But yeah, they might move some of your stuff around. It's almost like just to let you know that they're there, you know. So that's the video. I hope you find it useful. I just felt like I was supposed to share that story with you, because something random like that might happen to you, and you might be like, oh my god, I've lost my mind. Or like, oh my god, I'm being attacked by spirits. But you know, they, like I said, they just want your help. So that's the message. I hope you find it useful. Thank you so much for watching. And I am taking one-to-one personal life coaching sessions, spiritual life coaching sessions at the moment. So if you wanted to book with me, I would love to work with you. The link will be in the description box below the video. And as always, many blessings, love and light. Take care.